who is a full stack developer? Well, a full stack developer must have the end-to-end expertise of the complete process of application development. So kind of a one-man army the companies are looking for as a full stack developer. So as a full stack developer, you should have a good understanding of the front-end development, like what are the tools that are used as a full front-end development. Along with that, you should have a good understanding of the back-end development, like the tools and the framework that has been primarily used for the back-end development. So front-end as well as back-end understanding is must for a full stack developer. Along with that, you should also know how to manage the databases. Like for example, it can be SQL database, it can be a NoSQL database. You should know how to manage the database and all the query operations in MySQL as well as the NoSQL. And then along with that, you should know few tools also, like code management tools, kind of a GitHub and all, along with that complete deployment process of the applications. So as you can see, just one person have the knowledge of end to end of all these technologies. So usually company used to hire the 3 people for it, like one for the front-end development, then we have another person as a back-end development, and then there is a DevOps person who should have a complete understanding of the deployment process and code management. But now the companies are hiring one person for all these stuffs. So they give huge package to one talented guy who have complete understanding of all this. What about all the libraries or the framework we need to master as a full stack developer? So let's start this from the front-end development. So as a front-end developer, you should have a good understanding of the HTML as well as the CSS. So these are the building blocks of the web UI development, that is HTML as well as CSS, followed by the main stuffs of the UI, that is JavaScript. So JavaScript is the base of the UI development. And in the JavaScript, you should have a good understanding of the different libraries and the framework. So these are the popular library and the framework used in the JavaScript for the web UI development, like the jQuery as well as the React.js. And as a framework, you should have a good understanding of the AngularJS. So these are the stuffs you should know as a web UI developer. Also, you have heard this term in the job description of many companies, like we are looking for the mean stack developer or we are looking for the MERN stack developer. What is that? Well, this is also one of the full stack development profile where in the front end as well as the back end, we use the JavaScript. Like this is the MERN stack and this is the mean stack. In the mean stack, we use the front end for the AngularJS, followed by the back end as a Node.js, and then MongoDB for the database management. Similarly, if you change this AngularJS to React.js, this will become MERN stack. So these are the also two kind of a profile for the full stack development. The only change is we just change the UI framework. So first of all, in the mean stack, we are using AngularJS framework, and in the MERN stack, we are using the library, that is React.js library of JavaScript. Now let's see which library or framework is in demanding in market right now for the backend development. So for the backend development, you want to use JavaScript end to end. Then as I told, you can use Node.js, and you've been hiring for a mean stack developer or a MERN stack developer, where as a backend, you are using Node.js, as well as for the front end, you are using Node.js libraries and the framework. But in the backend, most of the people are also working on the Spring Boot, because companies are looking for the Spring Boot technologies for the backend development and JavaScript for the front-end development. Now let's say if you are working on the Python, then you can also use Django for the backend development. So these are the technologies that is primarily been used for the backend development. Similarly, for database management system, either you will be working on NoSQL or SQL, but there are many applications where companies use NoSQL as well as SQL at the same time in one applications. So for NoSQL, you need to work on MongoDB or Cassandra, or there are many more like HBase, Hadoop, then we have distributed cache like Redis, etc. So these are the NoSQL stuffs you should have a good understanding of and how to manage them. And for the SQL part, mostly MySQL has been used in most of the industry. So there are many applications, as I said, have both SQL as well as NoSQL. So these are the part of the database management system, and these are the tools or framework you should know as a part of the database management system for SQL and NoSQL. And now we have the code management and the deployment process. So for the code management part, everywhere, almost 100% of the industry, they are using GitHub. GitHub is very widely been used, and it is very easy to understand that as well. And now we have the CI/CD pipeline. So the CI/CD pipeline, which is basically the end-to-end software development process and the deployment in the cloud. So you should have a good understanding of the CI/CD pipeline tool. Mostly in the industry, we use the Jenkins for the CI/CD pipeline, where we have all the process of the deployment of the complete application into the cloud. Now, once you have the good hands-on on all these tools and the framework, you are a full stack developer.